Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks.
My name is Caroline Hayes. I was born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina, a place where charm and tradition are everything, but sometimes, behind closed doors, respect is treated like it costs too much to give. And that night, in the middle of a dinner table surrounded by people who were supposed to be my family, I learned the cruelest truth of all: the people who laugh at your pain think they'll never be caught in their own. But I also learned something stronger: sometimes the only way to be heard is to stop staying silent. You really think anyone would marry you if it weren't for me? My husband, Daniel, spat across the table, his voice sharp enough to slice through the clinking of silverware. His parents were already chuckling, egging him on like a pair of hyenas circling prey. My face burned, but I didn't look down. I stared at him, my husband, the man who once swore to protect me, now turning my entire existence into a joke. His father leaned back in his chair, laughing harder. She should be grateful, son. Look at her. She was nothing before you. His mother covered her mouth, but her giggles slipped out anyway. I sat frozen, my knuckles white around the stem of my glass, the humiliation flooding every corner of my chest. They thought I would shrink. They thought I would do what I always did, swallow the pain and smile. But tonight was not that night. Say something, Caroline, Daniel sneered, nudging me like I was part of some comedy sketch. Go on, tell them how much you'd still be stuck waitressing if I hadn't rescued you. He raised his glass as if making a toast, smirking. My ears buzzed, my pulse thundered, and then, I felt the papers pressing against my side, tucked deep inside my purse. And for the first time, I smiled. Because tonight, I wasn't the victim. Tonight, I was ready. Section 2, The Encounter, continuing the heated start, pushing toward 1,000 words. You think I'm your charity case? I asked, my voice steady but low, the kind of hardwood like a warning. You want to know what fits? These. My hand brushed against my purse, feeling the weight of the envelope inside. I didn't pull it out yet, no, not yet. I wanted him to sweat first. Daniel chuckled nervously, trying to pull control back into his hands. Sit down, Caroline. You're embarrassing yourself. No, Daniel, I said, standing taller than I'd ever felt before. For the first time, I'm not embarrassed. I'm angry. And anger can do two things: it can burn you, or it can build you. Tonight, I'm done letting it burn me. The table was quiet, the only sound the faint ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. His parents shifted uncomfortably, not used to me speaking this way, not used to me breaking the script they had written for me. I leaned forward, my voice steady but sharp. You want to humiliate me? You want to mock me in front of your parents so they can laugh? Fine. But remember this moment, Daniel. Because after tonight, you won't have another chance. His mother frowned, finally sensing something she couldn't quite put her finger on. What do you mean by that? I smiled, the kind of smile I hadn't worn in years, a smile that came from knowing the truth was about to change everything. You'll find out soon enough. The silence after my words felt heavier than the chandelier above our heads. And in that silence, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: power. But as I stood there, the memory of how it all began flooded my mind. I had been 24 when I met Daniel. I was waitressing at a small diner on the edge of town, saving every dollar to finish my nursing degree. The night air hit my face like a cold splash of water as I stepped out of that house, my heels striking the driveway like tiny hammers breaking chains. For the first time in years, the laughter behind me didn't matter. The voices calling my name didn't matter. What mattered was that the door was closed, and I was finally on the other side of it. I walked to my car with shaky hands, fumbling for the keys. My chest ached, my throat burned, and yet I was smiling through the tears blurring my vision. I had done it. I had said the words I thought I'd never be brave enough to say. But bravery is strange, it feels like fire and ice at the same time, like you're strong enough to face the world but fragile enough to collapse at any second. I slid into the driver's seat, shut the door, and let the sobs escape. My whole body trembled, but not from weakness, from release. Years of holding everything inside had finally poured out in one explosive moment, and now there was nothing left to carry. I turned the key, the engine rumbling to life. For a moment, I just sat there staring at the windshield, my reflection faintly visible in the glass. Who was that woman? Not the Caroline who tiptoed around Daniel's moods. Not the Caroline who smiled politely when his parents mocked her accent, her clothes, her past. This woman was someone new, someone I hadn't fully met yet. But I wanted to know her. I drove aimlessly at first, the streets blurring past. Every red light felt like a question mark. Where will you go now? What will you do? I didn't have all the answers. But for the first time in years, I was free to ask. I ended up at a small motel on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, peeling paint on the shutters, buzzing neon sign half lit, but it was mine for the night. I handed the clerk my ID with shaking fingers, ignoring the way his eyes flickered at my tear-streaked face. Inside the room, I sat on the bed, staring at the faded floral bedspread. The silence was deafening. After years of Daniel's constant criticism, after endless dinners where laughter was a weapon, the quiet pressed in on me like a weight. And yet, in that silence, I found something precious of peace. I opened my purse and pulled out the divorce papers. They looked different now, less like a weapon, more like a key. A key that could open the door to a life I hadn't allowed myself to dream of. As I traced the lines of my name, my mind drifted back to everything I had given up for him. I remembered the scholarship I turned down when we got engaged. Nursing school was my dream, but Daniel convinced me we didn't need another degree in the house. He said he would provide, that I didn't need to work so hard. What he meant was he didn't want me outshining him. I remembered the savings account I drained when his business venture went under. I told myself I was supporting my husband, investing in our future. But when the business failed, he didn't thank me. He blamed me. Said if I had been smarter, maybe I could have given him better advice. I remembered the night I miscarried. How I sat in the hospital bed, numb and broken, while Daniel scrolled through his phone, more concerned with a client's email than the life we had just lost. His mother told me later, "Don't be so sensitive. These things happen." And I swallowed my grief in silence. All those sacrifices, all those moments when I bled for this marriage, and in return, I was mocked, belittled, laughed at. But not anymore. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the thin curtains. My eyes were swollen, my body heavy, but there was a strange lightness in my chest. I packed my things quickly, not much, just a change of clothes, my wallet, the papers, and checked out. I knew I couldn't live out of motels forever. I needed a plan. I needed to find work, maybe even pick up where I left off with nursing school. It wouldn't be easy. Daniel had made sure I relied on him financially, cutting me off from independence in every way he could. But I wasn't afraid of hard work. I had done it before. I could do it again. I drove to a small cafe I used to love before Daniel decided it was beneath us. Sitting by the window with a cup of coffee, I opened my laptop and began searching for jobs. The world outside looked different somehow, brighter, even in its uncertainty. Every application I filled out was a step forward, every submit button a quiet rebellion against the life I left behind. For the first time, I felt like my life was mine. But freedom has a way of testing you. It started with a phone call. My screen lit up with Daniel's name, his photo flashing like a ghost I wasn't ready to see. I let it ring, then silenced it. Minutes later, a text buzzed, "We need to talk. You can't just leave like this. Come home." Home. The word felt poisoned. That house was never a home, just a stage where I played the role of dutiful wife while the audience mocked from the sidelines. I deleted the text. But Daniel didn't stop. The calls kept coming, the texts growing more desperate, more demanding. "You're making a mistake. You won't survive without me. Everyone will laugh at you." I blocked his number. That evening, as I carried groceries into my motel room, a shadow stretched across the parking lot. My stomach tightened as I looked up. Daniel was standing by my car. His smile was gone, replaced by something darker, something sharp. "So this is where you've been hiding." I froze, the paper bag trembling in my arms. "What are you doing here? You think you can humiliate me in front of my parents and just walk away?" His voice was low, dangerous. "You think you can just throw everything we built in the trash?" I set the groceries down slowly, my heart pounding. "We didn't build anything, Daniel. I built you up while you tore me down. And I'm done." He stepped closer, his shadow swallowing mine. "No, Caroline. You're not done. Not until I say you're done." For a moment, fear wrapped around my chest. But then I remembered the weight of those papers, the way my voice had cut through his laughter at the dinner table. I stood tall, meeting his glare with steady eyes. "Then get ready, Daniel. Because you're about to learn that you don't get to decide that anymore. Freedom isn't just walking out the door, it's refusing to let the past drag you back inside. When you finally break free from someone who controls you, they'll try to remind you of every chain they once held. But remember this, their power only exists if you hand it back to them. Stand tall. Stay firm. Your freedom is worth protecting." Daniel's shadow haunted me long after he left that motel parking lot. His voice, low and venomous, echoed in my ears as I tried to fall asleep. "You're not done until I say you're done." I lay awake staring at the ceiling, fear creeping into the corners of my newfound freedom. "Had I made a mistake?" she said softly. I looked up, surprised. "Why?" She glanced around before leaning in. "I heard you on the phone yesterday. My ex-husband did the same thing to me. Took my money, tried to make me beg. Don't let him win." Her words were small, but they planted something inside me. Proof that I wasn't alone. Proof that others had walked this path and survived. Later that day, an old friend I hadn't seen in years reached out on Facebook. The papers lay spread across the motel bed like a storm had torn through my life and scattered the pieces. Each page was a weapon Daniel had forged in my name, sharp enough to slice away my future. I stared at the numbers, the signatures I never wrote, the accounts I never opened, and for the first time in days, I felt the tremor of real fear. How do you fight someone who twists the law itself into a knife? I pressed my hands into my face, forcing the panic down. Running back to him wasn't an option. Staying silent wasn't an option. I had one choice left: fight. The next morning, I made my way downtown to a small law office recommended by Jessica. The receptionist gave me a sympathetic look as I slid the envelope across the counter. Minutes later, I was sitting across from a woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice, Attorney Melissa Grant. She flipped through the papers, her brows furrowing deeper with each page. Finally, she set them down. "Caroline, this is serious. But it's also illegal. If your husband opened these accounts without your consent, that's fraud. We can fight this." Tears stung my eyes, but I held them back. "He thinks he's untouchable. He's got his parents, his money, everyone on his side." Melissa leaned forward, her voice steady. "Listen to me. Men like Daniel think control is the same as power. It's not. The law doesn't work on charm, and it doesn't laugh at cruelty. It looks at evidence. And right now, from what I see, we've got enough to start building a case." For the first time since I left, I felt something other than fear. Hope. But Daniel wasn't finished trying to break me. That afternoon, as I walked out of the lawyer's office, my phone buzzed with notifications. My stomach knotted as I scrolled through social media. There it was, a long, polished post from Daniel, painting himself as the victim. I've always tried to be the best husband I could, but sometimes love isn't enough. I'm devastated by Caroline, shaking her head. I can't believe you lived with this. The courthouse loomed before me like a mountain I wasn't sure I could climb. It's gray stone walls. Isn't it true you left your husband without warning, after years of him providing for you? I left, I replied, my voice rising, because providing for me doesn't mean humiliating me, controlling me, and signing my name on lies. Whispers rippled through the courtroom. For the first time, I felt my words land like stones instead of feathers. Then came Melissa's turn. She approached with a steady hand, laying down the hospital record, the dated forged signature, the financial statements. Mrs. Morgan, she asked, her voice calm but piercing, where were you on the day this signature was dated? In the hospital, I answered. Recovering from surgery. I couldn't have signed anything. And yet, she said, holding up the document, here is your name, attached to an account opened that same day. A name that does not match your handwriting. A forgery, tying you to debt you never consented to. Gasps filled the room. I glanced at Daniel, his face, for the first time, cracked. His jaw clenched. I deserved better. For the first time, the future didn't terrify me. It felt open. Weeks later, I received word that Daniel was under investigation for fraud. His parents' perfect reputation cracked under the weight of the scandal. The same people who once praised them whispered behind their backs now. And me? I found a new apartment, small but filled with peace. I started working again, not for money, but for purpose. Each morning I woke up with the sunlight spilling across my face, and I remembered, freedom is worth more than gold. Respect in a marriage isn't optional. It's the foundation. When someone mocks you, belittles you, or tries to strip away your dignity, that's not love, that's control. And control crumbles the moment you shine the light of truth on it. Never stay silent when someone tries to bury you under lies. Speak up, stand tall, and remember, the truth may take time, but it always wins. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to be reminded of their worth. Because no one deserves to be silenced, and everyone deserves respect.